PASCAL. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis is ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live somebody. Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope the show finds you in great spirits. Man, there's some crazy stuff that's been going on in the world, and we definitely need to talk about it. If you guys saw my pop-up video late last night, I appreciate y'all. Please go check it out when you get a second. There's a lot to discuss and a lot to unpack here in this particular show, and we don't have a whole lot of time to do it because I do have another live coming up at 10:45 to watch this press conference revolving around the Naomi Irion case. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. There is a press conference that I think we all want to see. There may be some new evidence exposed on Troy Driver, and there's some more information about Troy Driver, the alleged person who took Naomi Irion. So please be on the lookout for that. That's going to be happening at 10:45 a.m. But anyway, guys, we got a lot to talk about here. There's a lot going on. I have somebody very special coming on to join us in just a minute. So please do me a favor. We got to go through some of this housekeeping real quick. Please hit that like button down below. Send it past 200 likes so you start to file in. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to every single last one of y'all. It's great to see you guys here. And of course, if you're watching on Facebook as well, be sure to hit that reaction button down below. Of course, do not forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so. I don't know what to tell y'all. You're missing out on the best party on these sides of these internet streets. So please be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on Facebook, that follow button, most importantly, that follow button on Facebook, on my Facebook page. That would be greatly appreciated. All right, guys, now we got to get into some things. We got some conversations that we need to have, and there's a lot going on with this. And if you guys have any questions, by all means, super chats are greatly appreciated. Of course, I'm going to have a very special guest here on in just a few seconds here, but I did want to talk about this because one of the things that's really kind of wild is that there's a lot of bad things that are going on in Maui. A lot of people are needing some serious help. And we've talked about this in the pop-up video, but I want to say this again. There's a lot of people that are still needing help. They're saying that the government is helping out, putting in their 2 cents and helping, lending aid to those that are in need. But we're hearing from other people who are actually survivors of this devastating wildfire that are saying that they're still needing help, that they're not getting the right kind of help that they need. Now, we heard that the federal government, the government is giving out money, $700 to families that are in need. And I said this in the pop-up video. Please go check it out. But at the same time, I'm just going to say, $700? Are you insane? For how long though? How long is that $700 supposed to last for? 3-4 days? You know, the economy is insane out here. And these are people without clothes, without food, without shelter, as you could see right here in this video. It's absolutely, the place is decimated. It's annihilation. All right. Now, one of the things that I've been wanting to know is how, aside from all the $700 and the lack of the government doing anything to put in some help for these families that are in need, the many families that are in need, how could this have happened? How did this happen? We now know that there has been a lack of warnings. Their emergency sirens, evacuation sirens did not go off. In fact, I read an article in the pop-up video stating that they made a decision not to use those sirens because they said it wouldn't help anybody. There was no use in using those things. To me, that doesn't make any bloody sense, guys. There's plenty of people that may not be near their phones, may not be near a TV, maybe outside doing whatever, that could have used that warning siren. Some of these families, some people claimed that some people got text messages and some people didn't. So imagine if that warning siren actually did go off when it was supposed to go off. Imagine how many lives it could have saved. But the main question is, I'm going to go back to, how could this have happened? How? There's been theories, there's been conspiracies. People are running amok with all kinds of things, saying stuff like DEWs, which are direct energy weapons, a laser shot from the sky, everything from people doing this to bring awareness to climate change, talking about arson, etc., talking about Oprah being behind this so that she can buy up some more land, companies doing this to buy up more land. It has been absolutely insane, the theories that have been flying all over, the conspiracies that have been flying all over the place. But this is the reason why I wanted to bring on a new friend to the show, because honestly, we need to talk about this in a more logical way. We need to find out what actually happened here and why it happened. And how could we prevent this from happening? If there is a way to prevent this from happening, what can we do, right? So please welcome forester Andrew Haney. Andrew is a forester, of course. He graduated from Louisiana Tech with a Bachelor of Science in Forestry in 2011. He worked for timber companies until 2016, in which time he was involved with burning thousands of acres for wildlife management and to clean up logging debris for replanting. So in 2016, he started a Forest Service company conducting timber inventory for companies. So he took over a wholesale nursery growing landscape trees, and that's what he currently does. Please welcome Andrew to the show. First off, good morning, my brother. Thank you so much for being on here. It does mean a lot. Say that again.
I said, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Now, obviously, as you see the footage, you were checking out this footage, obviously, while we're doing this. There's a lot of questions I have. Now, let's talk about some crazy conspiracies really quick. Let's just get the fun stuff out of the way. If this was a laser, how will we know? If this was, I know this is crazy. Guys, just ride with me for a second, okay? If this was a laser that shot from the sky, aliens shot from the sky and started this fire, would there be proof? Could we see proof in the area of said, like where this laser hit first?
I don't know about that. I know there are professionals who will figure out how a wildfire was started. Insurance professionals that they'll figure out how a house fire was started, and they also can pinpoint the place and usually the ignition source for wildfire as well. But I don't know about lasers.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. I got to ask all the crazy questions first, right? Because it's the crazy questions are out here for real. And of course, they say things like a direct energy weapon that caused this, or that this was arson. Now, could this possibly be something that was set off by a human, by someone who is, I don't know, some crazed lunatic activist trying to raise awareness on climate change? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, as far as the motives, I don't know, but as the possibility, absolutely, it's pretty easy, and you wouldn't need a laser. A cigarette lighter would do it.
Right.
If the conditions are right, it's just pretty easy to start a wildfire.
So then tell me this, because, obviously you've seen your fair share of fires. I'm sure you've seen your fair share of wildfires as well. What would you say could have been the cause of this situation in Maui?
If you have dry land and dry environment and wind and it's hot outside, which just adds to it. The fire can get out of hand very quickly, and when fire grows, it doesn't grow. It grows exponentially with heat and just the power of it and the speed at which it carries. So, and with mountainous terrain that may be hard to get around and get in front of it and shut it down, it can get out of hand.
So then tell me, because I understand that I understand that there's a lot that could have happened here. There's a lot of theories because of that. But a place like Hawaii or Maui, for instance, that should be lush with, and of course, I'm just going to use layman terms because I'm not you, but a place that should be lush with hydrated vegetation. How can Maui go? Is it normal for Hawaii or Maui or a place like this to go through a drought? Is this normal or not?
I mean, I don't know. I've never been, and I've never really studied the ecology or the weather of ecology and weather and the forest environment are tied closely to weather. But if you have El Nino or La Nina, whatever we're in right now, that's causing odd weather patterns, maybe you do get a drought. And then also it being a mountainous island, that topography can block weather or block rain. And so if that were to happen and you have a dry side and a wet side, which is kind of usually the case with mountainous areas, a lot of times that dry side may be prone to burn, and it's something that happens periodically. And by periodically, I mean every year or every 3 years, but it's not that big of a deal because it just burned last year. And so the fuel load's low and the fire just kind of blows along and eventually puts itself out or hits a barrier or hits a forest that can protect itself from fire, and it just kind of dies out. But if you get a dry year and fuel loads are high, it can really go.
Interesting, because I know, like while we were doing the getting prepped before we went live, you said something about saying the ecosystem is designed to burn. Can you expand on that? Because I found that to be extremely interesting. The ecosystem is designed to burn. What exactly did you mean by that? Does that mean something like maybe that area is trying to reset or something like that, hitting that reset button by burning? Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. So if you have an ecosystem or a piece of land and no natural disaster happens and you start from nothing, it'll follow a predictable path called succession. And it'll start with grasses and shrubs, and then trees will come in, and the trees will shade out the early succession trees, which grow up, straight up, and they'll shade out the grasses. And then late succession trees like magnolias in the southeast, or hollies, or in California, redwoods, they grow slower and will shade out the other trees. And so, and then that's it. You just will end up with a forest of that, like you see in the redwood forest. However, those trees tend to be less fire hardy, and the early succession trees are kind of designed or evolved to benefit from fire. So they will, you know, like the grasses will grow, and then in the fall they pull all their nutrients back to their roots, and you're left with standing grass, perfect to burn. So it burns and it kills those trees that will shade them out. It kills the baby trees, the saplings, and gets a little burst of nitrogen from that burning fuel, and prepares the seed bed. It opens up the ground for more grass seed to take sprout to sprout and grow. And so the plants are kind of evolved to perpetuate themselves, or to perpetuate their time frame in the succession timeline, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. You know, because I guess with something like this, and you say it's designed to burn, it does sound like, okay, it's like almost like a reset button. I saw Latif say that in the chat, saying that it's almost like, is the earth resetting in some sort of way, or at least this particular area is resetting. But when it comes to this, what do you think? Because I know that there's been a lot of theories and a lot of speculation on how this could have started. What do you think? What do you think started this devastating tragedy here?
It could be anything. I personally saw a fire that took off from the interstate, and it was from an 18-wheeler. The wheel bearing went bad, and it was throwing sparks into the dry grass in the median, and away it went. And that's actually pretty common. But you know, a tree falling on a power line, any little thing. A kid could have started it. Or, you know, some high school kids went camping and made a fire. Didn't.
Yeah, or some idiot goes big on a gender reveal. I mean, we've heard those kind of stories. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
That stuff does happen. I mean, I heard. I think that was a story that happened in California, I think, a couple years back, where it was a big, elaborate gender reveal, and it just started a fire. It's pretty crazy. So maybe that was that too. I mean, anything's possible here, right?
Right.
So when it comes to this, because right now they're still trying to put out the fires in many different areas. You've seen your fair share of fires, starting them and taking them out. Is that common for something like this to take as long as it has? Because it's been a minute now since the fire started.
I don't know. I mean, it's all the fires that I've dealt with are in Louisiana. It's flat ground, and we've got a lot of roads, and it's pretty easy to get them out. But in the mountains, you know, you see it in Colorado when it burned, and Canada, which is just rural. You just can't get to them to get them out. And so, and then sometimes the easiest method is just let it go. And, you know.
Oh, wow.
Which,
really?
Not if it's heading towards houses, but if it's just going into more grassland or more timber, that's not valuable. It's, you know, like I said, it's designed to burn anyway. So go ahead and let it burn and reduce that fuel load, and good for the ecosystem, frankly.
Right. Well, okay. So when it comes to what we've seen here, because, you know, Maui of all places, it just seems a bit uncanny, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I never would have thought that would happen. It's definitely not into the neighborhoods and business districts like it did. That's pretty shocking. But as far as the farm land and the unused land, I guess I could see it. I'm not that surprised, but I would not have thought that it would have carried through the residential areas like it certainly did.
Yeah. Is there anything that can be done to prevent stuff like this from happening in the future?
What the kind of common opinion is you've got to do prescribed fire, which is where you burn it on purpose and don't let the fuel load build up. And so it's just like mowing the lawn. It's just housekeeping for the wildlands, and that's pretty much the way to do it.
So, okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because in other words, like controlled fires, right? And you've done your fair share of controlled fires. Why would someone do a controlled fire? What's the purpose behind that? This is definitely not a controlled fire. Let's keep it real, y'all. This is not controlled. But why would one like yourself? You've done many of those in your career. Why would one do a controlled fire?
Well, in the Southeast, or the fires we were doing were it was a habitat management burn to try to control an ecosystem for an endangered woodpecker, and they had a very specific ecotype they liked, which was called a pine savanna, or is a pine savanna. And so you've got low density pine forest and grass underneath it, and it's all the other trees and oaks and bushes are constantly growing up. But if we burn it every 2 or 3 years, we kill them back and can maintain that habitat that the woodpeckers were evolved to live in. So
Interesting.
And being that way, we could, since we just burned it a few years before, the fires never got out of hand. They were really relaxing compared to other fires that were a lot of work and kind of dangerous and usually involved a lot of firefighting, which would be what we call a site prep burn, where after a block of timber is harvested, all the leftovers, the unusable stuff and the bushes that are left, we would burn that off for a clean slate to put in baby trees. And those were very volatile, and that was a lot more work.
Interesting. So it's less work to burn than it is to just like burn on location, on the spot, than it is to just cut it and take it out somewhere, take it somewhere else.
Well, yeah, on a grand scale, absolutely, because Maui, and that's gigantic landmass. You couldn't mow that to keep the vegetation down. With a fire, you can burn thousands of acres in a day, and if it's a low fuel load and you pick your conditions, a calm day with the wind blowing towards the sea instead of the city, you can get rid of that in a safe manner.
Interesting. But okay, so then let's try to click and drag this over to what we've been looking at, right? They're still in the middle of taking out fires right now. Over about 99 casualties so far on the toll, which I hate even saying that, like a tally in a way, but they say that there's going to be more casualties. There's going to be more than just close to 100. Let's just say 100 that they're saying right now. So it is pretty wild. So obviously this is not a controlled situation. And I know that we can go into the conspiracy theory world. This is the somebody or, big companies or whatever trying to move people out so that they can take over the land and all that. We could talk about that all day long, but this clearly is not a controlled situation. This is just absolute destruction and devastation here. So what is your theory on, how does something like, I just don't understand how anything like this would happen and continue to grow as quickly as it did.
I don't know. There's really no telling. I've never been, so I haven't seen what it's looked like beforehand. I've seen the pictures now,
Mm.
but those fires are not simple to put out, and especially when they're moving along, they're blowing embers in front of themselves. So they're if you put a fire line in, you basically bulldoze a trail of bare dirt. It's not like the fire's just going to come to that and stop. It'll blow embers over it, and for a long ways. And so it's a tricky job.
Yeah. That's the thing that doesn't make, I guess I'm just trying to wrap my mind around this, because that's the part that just doesn't make any sense, because you see a fire. Okay. All right. You got a fire that starts, however it started in Maui. Local fire department could not handle that fire.
No, you're not with water. It's heavy machinery and backfires. So if you've got a fire burning towards a road, it's gonna roll right over the road. But you can go to that road and light a fire that'll burn backwards, which is much more calm, and it'll burn towards the fire going with the wind, called a head fire. And so that fire break, the bare ground that you're creating, but with the backfire,
Mm-hmm.
will that'll stop the fire. But you got to pick your spots, and even still, if it jumps or throws an ember over in one spot, you almost got to start over. It's and
Wow.
fire, it creates its own weather. With all the heat going straight up, it increases the wind. So it's just a monster. It's really hard to put out when it's in this proportion.
It's really hard to put out when it's really cooking like this.
Right.
Basically, when they have all the elements going for them instead of against them.
Right.
Dry brush or dry vegetation. You said high. What did you say? High winds back. What did you say? I'm sorry.
High winds. Yeah.
High winds.
Yeah.
And all that could help with all of that. It's just so wild. I guess in my mind, because obviously I'm just a regular guy. I don't, I like fires. I do fires in my backyard type thing, but seeing something like this, I instantly go, well, couldn't have this been, contained or stopped early? How does something like this grow that quickly, that fast, to the point where local fire departments or fire departments working together in unison can't even stop it from growing in this one particular area? You see what I'm saying? I mean, it seems like within a day, it was just, everything was on fire. And
Right.
I keep wondering, how can this possibly happen in the way that it did? And that's the thing. I'm like, man, it just doesn't make sense. Then I also heard this too, and I know you don't know a whole lot about this, but I'm just going to say it anyway. There were stories of people trying to put out the fires themselves, only to find out that the fire hydrants would stop pumping water, which is also something that I found very, very strange. These are survivors actually speaking out about this, saying, hey, I had the fire hydrant and the hose going, and then suddenly the hose went soft. Suddenly there was no power, there was no water in the fire hydrants. That is a very strange thing. Wouldn't you say? Is that a little bit odd, or is that normal out here?
Well, I manage in a nursery now. I know a little bit about irrigation, and so those fire hydrants are powered by a main line, and there's X amount of water that can go through that main line. And if every single hydrant has a hose hooked up to it, you're just not going to be able to maintain that pressure. And wherever that water's coming from, that's a that's a finite amount as well. And so the pump that's supplying that, or the water tower, if it's gravity, there's only so much water that it can shove through that line. And if every hose is open and trying to put something out, nobody gets anything. And so that's likely what happened.
Everyone's trying to take water from the same supply, from the same main pipe.
Right.
And then you got nothing. But okay, I could see that happening in a place like a smaller area, like Maui, for example. But as far as like the fires that happen elsewhere, that seems a bit odd, right? Wouldn't they have a better situation or a better water system so that if there is a massive fire, they're able to knock out what they need to knock out?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, it's so odd, y'all. It's so odd. Andrew, I do appreciate you coming on to the show and giving us your thoughts and expertise on everything. I mean, this is still, to me, it's a mystery. I'm just going to be real. Obviously, I'm not in your line of work, but it is still just something I don't fully get. For lack of a better term, I don't know how something like that could just go boom like this. And then it's almost like, I'm not sitting here saying that first responders didn't try, but it seems as if I just wonder how this could be prevented. If there's any possible way of this being prevented. But it's such a heartbreaking story. And again, we still have a lot of people that are still looking for their loved ones. Everything from their children to their spouses to their family members, all the way down to their beloved animals, their pets, etc. It's really, really sad. But Andrew, I appreciate you coming on and just putting in your 2 cents and letting us know what you think about everything. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Anytime, my brother. Talk to you soon, man.
All right. Bye.
Peace. So, guys, listen, I appreciate Andrew Haney for coming on to the show and talking with us about this. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. It's heartbreaking. There's a lot that still needs to be dissected. And it's true. I mean, as far as if it was started by anybody or anything, as far as lasers and all that, I know some people in the chat are saying lasers. Well, if that is the case, it's going to be very hard for them to prove that on such a massive plot of land, a massive area. It's going to be very hard for them to prove that foul play, let's just say that, was involved. You know, when you think about it, when they do investigation into a house, when there's a house fire, they only have to look at that house. They don't have to look at a huge miles and miles, acres and acres of land to comb through. You see what I'm saying? So it would be very hard for them to go into the deep parts of Maui or Lahaina town and say, oh, the fire started right here and it was caused by this. That would be very, very tough. But inside of a home, it's a contained, smaller plot of area where they can comb through, look through it and all that, and come down with their own theories and their own thoughts on, was this arson? Was this an electrical fire? Was this something from an act of God, a lightning strike, whatever? You see what I'm saying? So this is going to be very, very tough at wondering if there's any foul play involved, anything deeper than this, you know, the big companies, Oprah and aliens involved. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be very tough. But real quick before we get going, because I do have another show in 10 minutes with you guys to watch this press conference. But real quick, Tracy Harris, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. I really do appreciate it. Dory McNulty, thank you so much for being a member for 27 months. That's a long time. Thank you so much for all of your support, Dory. We might as well do this. Hey. Hey, bang, bang. Thank you so much. Dory McNulty, she says, happy to be here with my Pascal for this long. Thank you. We've been through it. Yes, we have. Wishing you and your wife and baby girl all the happiness. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. We got so many celebration hangouts that we need to do, and they're going to be coming up very soon. I promise. There's a lot to celebrate. 100,000 subscribers. Me and my wife bringing a child into the world, bringing life into the world. So there's a lot of things to get very excited about and celebrate here very, very soon. Trust me, I'll let you guys know when we do those. Mrs. and Mr. Steelers, what's up? Thank you so much for being a member for the past 15 months. Thank you, man. I'll applaud that too. Sending love to everyone, Pascal and brand new baby girl. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Katie Wiggin, thank you so much for becoming a brand new family member. Thank you so much. Welcome to the family. And just like Katie, you can hit that join button down below and support this channel. Again, I've said it before, these purple lights don't pay themselves, baby. So please be sure, if you want to support the channel, hit that join button down below and become a member of the family. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Real talk. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I'm going to keep an eye on this because there's a lot going on with this. I promise you, if there's more updates, more information, as of yesterday, 99 people have perished from this devastating wildfire. I know that I'm sure the toll has gone up since last night, but no matter what, it's still devastating. I still am sending all my prayers and thoughts to family and the survivors of the area. And they still need help, y'all. They still need help. So please check out local churches, local community groups, etc., because there's a lot of people that really need that help. Red Cross and FEMA and all that say that they're helping out, but I have yet to see proof of that. I'm only hearing survivors saying, we haven't got nothing and we need help now. So please look into that if you can. If there's any more updates, I will definitely be following this story from this point on. So if there's any more updates revolving around this, you can hear it right here on the Pascal Show. But anyway, guys, I got to hop off here to hop back on in about 7 minutes. We have a watch party for the press conference covering the Naomi Irion case. There's been some new information that happened over the past week, and I think that they're going to be giving us new evidence revolving around what happened to her and how she was taken and all that as well. So be sure to tune in. That's already up, so go click on that link and check it out when you can. I'll also put the link in this chat. Actually, let me do that right now before everyone takes off. So you can just hop right over to that one and get ready, okay? Because I will be talking about a few things before everything goes off and popping, okay? So it is here. Let me get it pinned to the top. Be sure to hop over to that. All right. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all y'all. It really does mean a lot. Don't forget to hit that like button down below. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, hit that reaction button. That would really, really mean a lot. And of course, hit that subscribe button, YouTubers and you Facebook fam. Make sure you hit that follow button on the Facebook page. It'd be great to have you part of the Pascal Show family. Anyways, time to get going. I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys in just a minute. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.